Grammar rules that are out of date. Advanced English learners, it's fun to break the rules, and language rules are no different. English is a living language that changes all the time. A lot of language rules that people used to think were important are now seen as out of date and too strict. As an advanced English learner, knowing which rules you can break will help you communicate more naturally and effectively with people. The next time you can't think of what to write, don't worry about writing rules. Instead, try something new. 1. Never end a sentence with a preposition. As a general rule, you should never put a preposition at the end of a line. These days, people often use prepositions to end lines because they sound more natural. Which city are you from? Sounds more natural than, from which city are you? 2. Don't split up infinitives. As a general rule, you shouldn't split infinitives, to plus word. Modern view, splitting infinitives can make things clearer and more striking. To boldly go where no man has gone before, is a stronger phrase than, to go boldly where no man has gone before. 3. Always put, whom, after the subject of a verb. It is common to use, whom, as the subject of a word or preposition. Today, the word, whom, sounds official and out of date in many situations. Who, is often used instead of, what, in casual and even some professional writing. Who did you see, is generally thought to be better than, whom did you see? 4. Do not put conjunctions at the beginning of sentences. As a general rule, you should never start a sentence with, and, but, or, so. Modern view, using conjunctions at the beginning of lines can make writing flow better and be more interesting. But we must think about the consequences, maybe stronger than, however, we must think about the consequences. 5. Do not use passive voice. The old rule is that you should always use the active voice instead of the passive voice. Active voice is usually considered clearer, but passive voice has its uses, especially when emphasizing the action rather than the person performing it. Mistakes were made, might be a better choice than, we made mistakes, in some situations. 6. For the future tense, use, shall. It is customary to use, shall, to talk about the future in the first person. Now, when talking about the future, will, is always used for all topics. For instance, I will go, is better than, I shall go. 7. Avoid contractions in formal writing. As a general rule, contractions should not be used in professional writing. Today, contractions are okay in a lot of serious situations because they make writing sound more casual and natural. It's often just as good to say, it's important to note, as, it is important to note. 8. Never use double negatives. As a general rule, you should not use double negatives because they cancel each other out. Today, double negatives can be used to emphasize something in casual speech and some languages. For instance, I can't get no satisfaction, is a stronger way to say, I can't get any satisfaction. 9. Make sure that the subject and verb agree strictly in complicated sentences. Traditional rule, in complex sentences, you should always make sure that the subject and verb match. Modern view, this rule isn't always followed in spoken English or some informal writing. This is especially true in lines with a lot of complex clauses. For instance, people often say, there are many reasons why, instead of the right phrase, there are lots of reasons why. 10. Never separate verbs. As a general rule, adverbs should not be used to separate verb sentences. Modern view, sometimes breaking up word phrases can make the rhythm or stress of a sentence better. In this case, she has definitely finished her work, might sound better than, she has definitely finished her work. Why it might be good to break these rules? Naturalness, sticking to old rules too closely can make your writing and speaking sound stilted and fake. Clarity and emphasis, sometimes breaking these rules will help you make your point clearer and stronger. Adaptability, language changes over time, and these rules can help you change how you talk to different people and situations. How to know when to follow old rules? There are times when it's still best to follow these old language rules, even though it's usually okay to break them. Academic writing, when writing for school or work, it is important to follow standard language rules. This will make your work appear more credible and professional. Professional communication, it can be important to follow standard grammar rules in some professional settings, especially those with conservative cultures. Knowing when and how to break outdated grammar rules can improve your speaking and writing skills. It helps you become a better writer and speaker. Don't be afraid to change how you use words depending on the situation and the people you are talking to. It's important to remember that the point of language is to communicate clearly, and sometimes that means breaking the rules.